All right, Randy, just a little bit about today. Obviously, you guys wanted to make moves, unable to do so, or
Well, we made a couple of moves. Not sure if you heard about them, but
no?
yeah, we did. And today was a step in the right direction, in my opinion, on a number of fronts. Number one, we got bigger, we got grittier. That's important. We got younger, which is important, and we stockpiled a number of draft picks, which we're going to use to continue this process of retooling our team, either by selecting players that fit the mold of what I want, or by turning those picks into players that fit the mold of what we want.
Are you disappointed you weren't able to make more deals today?
No, I think I've maintained quite consistently that I was only going to make deals if it made sense for our organization, both in the short and long term, and that's what we did. That's what we did. So I'm not disappointed. I never go into these deadlines saying I have to make X number of deals, and we did what we thought was prudent, what was respectful, that fit the strategy, and so I'm happy.
You guys came out with the letter a couple of weeks ago saying we want to change the direction of this franchise, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
you moved 3 players. I mean, were those the 3 players you guys were talking about, or?
Well, I don't reference players. I don't talk about players that are involved in trades. I think it's really important to focus on one other point, and that is I've been consistent that this is just step one of a 4-step process, so that's completed. Step 2 now, we will push hard and finish the year to the strongest possible capability. Then we'll get ready for the draft. There will be more changes leading up to the draft and at the draft. Some of those picks I suspect we'll use to pick the types of players we want. Some of them I'm hoping that we're going to be able to package with other assets to turn into players that are Panthers along our mold. Phase 3 will be July 1 when we'll be active but selective in free agency. And then Phase 4 is the finishing touches that we'd like to add to our team before the regular season starts.
How would you describe some of the offers you got today? Obviously, they weren't enough, but were they even close to what you were looking for, or were you pretty far off on?
Well, we worked hard to get good value. I mean, had we wanted to just have a fire sale, we would have been taking 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks. But to me, those picks are more difficult to turn into true Panthers. So we held firm. We've added 3 second-round picks, which are very valuable. This coming draft, which is going to be a very good draft, a deep draft, we've got 4 picks in the top 60. So that's value, in my opinion. Some of the offers that were on the table were nowhere near what we felt was fair value, and other offers that we ultimately did accept, we felt was fair, and that's why we did accept.
Some people were talking about that a lot of teams might have taken on some of yours, but you'd have to take back salary. Is that what you're talking about as far as not making good deals for the Panthers? You didn't want to take on somebody else's bad contract to give away, that kind of thing?
That's part of it, George. That's certainly part of it. Or, I mean, taking on unnecessary contracts or bad contracts or extra dollars that we didn't feel were appropriate was part of it. Another thing is lowball deals. You know, gee, I'll take your leading scorer for a low pick. Or, I mean, for example, I didn't get many of those, but there were a few bottom feeder type deals, and those are irresponsible deals to do on our part, and irresponsible, quite frankly, on the part of the team that made the offer.
When you look at the draft, do you look at that as another trade situation, such as today? Do you look at that as?
Absolutely. I mean, a general manager only has 3 assets at his disposal: cash, players, and picks. And there's only 3 ways to get a player. You trade for him, you draft him, or you sign him as a free agent. So heading into the draft, all of those dynamics come together. And as I said earlier, I fully expect to make some more trades at the draft. At least we'll be working to that end once the season's over and we go through our year-end review. And we'll either trade players for players and picks or prospects, or we'll package up players and picks that we have, or we'll trade player for player, or we'll use our picks. I mean, it's too early to predict at this point, Steve, how the whole thing will unfold.
Do you think it'll be easier to make deals at the draft when everybody's
Yes.
not in a playoff, when all 30 teams are kind of sitting at the same spot?
Absolutely. I mean, the draft, first of all, the draft, people have more salary cap flexibility. Number 2, they got more time to work on deals. Number 3, people are more motivated because right now there's probably 20 teams that think they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, and in fact only one is going to win. At the draft, there's been 29 unsuccessful teams and only one successful team, and therefore everybody has the motivation to try and improve, so that makes it easier, combined with more cap space, more time, tends to lead to more deals.
Going back to the addition of Bitts, what do you see in him as a player?
Well, I think he's got good size, which we like. He's got good hockey sense, which we like, and he's got soft hands for a big guy. You know, we think he can do. He can contribute offensively, down low. I mean, it'll ultimately be up to Peter how he chooses to use him. But we think he's a better player than he may have shown thus far.
And he won't be in the lineup tonight, but Saturday.
We're pushing for that, but not likely. His flight gets here a little late, and we need to have a proper plan, so probably won't be here tonight.
The other guy, is he going to Rochester? Well,
Matthew Roy has a slight ankle injury that he needs to rehab. I just got off the phone with him, that's why I was a few minutes late. But, so he needs to get that healthy first, and then he'll start in Roch, and we'll see how things go from there.
Any thoughts to make some trades to help Roch? They've been struggling. I know they got a win the other day, but
well, I think they're 4-1-1 in their last 6, so they've got things back on the right track. Our goaltending has been better. We've been healthier, which helps, and clearly Matt Roy will start in Roch, so that'll be a good addition. They'll suffer a little bit from the loss of Keaton and Jason, but there's some good young kids there, and it's really their opportunity to step up and show what they can do. We are going to continue to try and improve Rochester in any way that we can, but today was only one step.
can you say how close you came to making some other deals? I mean, you don't have to tell us Thomas Vokoun, we almost sent him to Chicago or anything like that, but I mean, were you close to making some big splash deals other than Seidenberg?
No, not really.
Not really?
I mean, the other deals that we worked on were really what I would call peripheral deals, and we got well along the way on one of them, but most of the others, there was an awful lot of discussion and not much tangible, productive activity, I would say.
Was it tough because guys had contracts that went on obviously longer than this year?
Yeah, I like a lot of our team. I mean, I'm not happy with where we are, and I'm not happy with some of our players. But this is not let's load them up with dynamite and blow everything up. It's not. We've got some good players here. We've got guys that are bona fide, legit, excellent NHL players. This is about improving what we have on top of that foundation. So, I could have traded some of our great core players if I wanted to, but that would be foolhardy, really. So what I was trying to do was, to use an analogy, I was a relief pitcher. I was nibbling at the corners, if you will, and some of the other teams are doing that. And when there's certain contracts involved, and certain cash involved, and cap involved, and roster sizes involved, it gets a little bit challenging. So on one of those peripheral deals, I was well along the way, but couldn't get it done.
So do you see a major retooling necessary then? Does that sound like it doesn't, like you'll be back in it next year? Or what's the plan as far as long term?
Well, long term, we want to build a Stanley Cup champion. That's a long-term view. In the short term, we need to retool what we have to meet the type of team that I want to build and that Peter wants to build. That's clear. And that is a team that's bigger. That's a team that's more physical. That's a team that brings a harder to play against, more warrior-type mentality to the game every night. We're not there. We're not there. So the analogy I used the other day is it's akin to turning around the Titanic versus a rowboat. Rowboat, you pull in the oar and the bow swings. Titanic, it's a little step at a time. Today was 3 or 4 steps, between now and the draft will be 5, 6, 7, 8 more steps, and then we have to continue on that. But we're not looking to replace 17 players on this team. We don't need to. We need to replace, 6, 7, 8 guys on this team, and then we need to stay healthy.
Thanks, Randy. All right.
All right. Thanks.